won the Area 9 International Speech Contest on March 21st for his speech, "What Do You Stand For?" He now moves on to compete in the Division C contest, which will be held in Yountville on April 26th. After the area contest, Henry changed some of the content and style of the speech based on the comments and observations of fellow Toastmasters. Tonight, he will be practicing delivery of the modified speech in preparation for the division contest, and is asking us to give him feedback on the little slips of paper on how he can improve the speech. Henry does not want to be part of the voting tonight, so for voting for Best Speaker tonight, we will only be voting for either Philia or Christina. The title of Henry's speech is, "What Do You Stand For?" Please give a warm welcome to Henry Novak.
What values do you live by? Are you willing to stand up for what you believe in, regardless of what the consequences are? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. The values and principles that we say we live by are meaningless unless we are committed to take them into action in our lives. That commitment can be challenged or even thwarted when our financial security is threatened, or when we are at risk of being criticized or ridiculed by others. A commitment is only a promise. It must have courage to propel it into action. Many years ago, a teenage boy stood up courageously for what he believed in. In doing that, he touched my heart and he made a difference in my life. During the Vietnam War, I was a federal criminal prosecutor in Los Angeles. Part of my responsibilities were to prosecute young boys who refused to go in the Army after they had received an order to report for duty that would send them to Vietnam. On a Friday morning in June 1972, I went to court to prosecute one such case. The defendant, a boy named Daniel, was sitting there with his lawyer. Daniel was a nice-looking young man. He was wearing a white shirt, khaki pants, curly blonde hair flowing around his cherubic, well-shaved face. He was 18 years old, but to me he looked like he was 14 or 15. My file said that Daniel had applied for and been refused an exemption from military service based on moral grounds. The judge called the case for trial and listened to the evidence offered against Daniel. After which he turned to Daniel's lawyer and he said, "Does your client want to say anything?" Yes, Daniel wanted to testify. He got up from his seat and went to the witness stand. "Your Honor, I cannot go into the Army. I do not believe in taking a human life. I can't kill somebody. I believe that life was God-given, a God-given gift, and life is sacred. And if they were to assign me to a non-combatant position in the Army, I couldn't do that either because I'd still be supporting an organization that is all about killing people. I think this life has been given us to love one another, and I cannot take another life under any circumstances." As Daniel testified and I listened to him, I knew he was speaking from his heart. I knew he was telling what for him was the truth. And his courage touched my heart. When he finished testifying, the judge spoke. "Young man, do you understand that because of what you believe in, I'm going to have to find you guilty and sentence you to 5 years mandatory prison sentence?" "Yes, Your Honor, I understand." The judge found him guilty, the trial was over, and I went back to my office as soon as I could. I spoke to no one. I got to my office, I shut the door, I sat down at the desk, and the tears started to flow. At the time, I didn't agree with Daniel, but I knew something terribly wrong happened in that courtroom. I knew that the system that I was part of enforcing had dishonored this young man's sincerely and truly held beliefs. And I said to myself, oh my God, how can I do this work? Have any of you ever had a job in which you had to do something that you knew wasn't right? It just went against your heart? Well, after an hour, I knew what I had to do about my job. I got up and I went to my boss's office. And I stood before him and I said, take me off of these cases. That boy should never have been prosecuted. Never, never. It tore me up to see him convicted. And I don't have the heart to do something like this again. He leaned back in his chair and with a look of arrogance said, you took an oath to uphold the laws of the United States. What are you telling me now, Novak? You don't want to do that? The tone of his voice and the sharpness of it just set me back. A lump swelled up in my stomach. And then I remembered the courage that I had been witness to only 2 hours before in that courtroom. And it gave me the strength to stand in my own truth and to respond to him. What I'm saying is, please don't assign me another one of those cases. I can't handle it. Get out of my office, he said. I backed out. Okay. I was a federal criminal prosecutor in that office for 4 more years, and I was never, ever assigned another case like that. Sooner or later, life is going to call upon all of us to answer the question, what do you stand for? And out there in the world, when that question comes up, it's not going to be a rhetorical question. Oh no. It's going to be a call to action. And if we don't act on the values that we hold dear to our hearts in those fleeting moments, our values don't mean a thing. Have any of you ever had that kind of circumstance where in a flash of a moment you knew you should have said something, you knew you should have done something to be true to yourself, and now that moment was gone, and all you were left with was wondering why I didn't stand up and be true to myself? We never know when life is going to ask us to be true to ourselves. It could be in the most inconsequential of circumstances. But we can be ready. We can examine our hearts to become consciously aware of the truths and the values that we live our lives by every single day. We can ask ourselves the question, what am I passionate about? Because when we connect with our passion, we ignite our courage. And when we ignite our courage, we give ourselves the power to propel our truth into the world through purposeful action. And when we do that, we not only make a difference in the lives of others, we make a difference in our own life. Fellow Toastmasters, what do you stand for?